Who says hip hop doesn't do that anymore? Who says hip hop doesn't use hip hop is art at the end of the day, right? And I as a professional spoken word artist and poet, right, I view spoken word poetry as a critical literacy of hip hop by the combination of two pillars of hip hop, which are emceeing and knowledge of self, right? And so I am looking at how the ability to write your story, the ability to use your voice and have it on a platform where you can speak that out loud, right? That is a showcasing of what it means to disturb the peace, what it means to disrupt, what it means to be critical. And so all of these things work together for us. Like hip hop has the ability to do that. Hip hop has had the ability to do that. Now, are there artists who don't necessarily use their platform to do that? Sure. Right. But are there artists who do? Yes, right? And so, just because some people are not doing that actively doesn't mean that hip hop doesn't have the ability to save America.
That's right. It's Black History Month. I actually love the fact that I had two brilliant Black women start off the show with us. If you know me, I wouldn't have it any other way. I give the flowers. I make sure that the voices get heard. It's if I have a little bit of possibility, I just want to amplify the voices of the people that I admire and that I think need to be heard. So the Black AF, Black Artistic Freedom Conference 2026 is coming up February 21st, UMass Amherst. Let me tell you who we're going to speak with today. I'm going to read over here, but y'all look at me over here. Check it out. Her name is Imani J. Wallace, but you should know her as Lyrical Faith. That's her poet MC name. A Bronx native born and raised, Lyrical Faith is a Black American educator, cultural curator, and international award-winning spoken word poet. Her words have graced stages beyond NYC to impact cities around the country and countries around the world. She's been in France, South Africa, Belize, Ukraine, New Zealand, and Mexico. She's a PhD candidate in social justice education at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, examining the social impact of artistic expression for Black communities through hip-hop education, one of my favorite intersections. She's toured colleges and universities across the country and has been featured on acclaimed programs such as the world-famous Apollo Theater and America's favorite game show, Family Feud. She's a 3-time Woman of the World Poetry Slam finalist, a 2-time Bronx Poet Laureate finalist, the 2015 Syracuse University Poet of the Year, and the inaugural UMass Amherst W.E. Du Bois Center Poet in Residence. She shared stages with icons from Dr. Mark Lamont Hill to Miss Lauryn Hill. She's a graduate of the Public Relations Program at Syracuse University and a master's degree recipient in higher education and student affairs from NYU. Her work has appeared on NPR, iHeartRadio, Button Poetry, Right About Now, Huffington Post Black Voices, News 12 The Bronx, and many more. I met her at the Hip Hop Ed Conference in New York City, and I saw her perform. And, you kind of get blown away by powerful artists. One of the best. And I've been to a few, spoken word, poetry, slam poetry events in my day. She became one of my favorite artists the first time I saw her. Check out my interview with this brilliant poetess, scholar, and inspiration. So let's go. Peace and love. Thank you. Right now, off rip, Lyrical Faith. Thank you for joining me on Hip Hop Can Save America. It is an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to have you here with me today. Thank you for taking some time.
Thank you for having me, Manny. Thanks, sis. I really appreciate you inviting me onto your podcast today.
A little bit overdue because I've seen you out in the world. We talked about crossing paths at the Hip Hop Ed Conference, and I've been watching your online escapades, performing and doing all this work. And I'd always said that, I'd love to sit down, and have this talk. But then now that we're, a couple weeks away from this conference that you're facilitating at UMass Amherst, the Black AF conference, Black Artistic Freedom. I love the little double entendre there. So let's right now, for just because I love, we're promoting it. It's right out of the gate. It's coming up soon. Let's start there if you can. Just give me, I'd love to have just a little rundown of the conference, whatever, what's planned, what it's going to look like. I'm again honored and privileged that I'm a part of it. I'm being there. I'm going to come up there and see it firsthand. It's not the first year you've done it. So can you give me an idea, like give folks the idea what this conference is about and what's it going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So once again, thank you so much for having me. So the Black Artistic Freedom Conference is a dynamic experience centering education and activism through the arts. So it's really just meant to be this hub of Black culture, Black excellence, Black scholarship, Black artistic freedom, right? And so this year, this is our third annual event. I founded this conference back in 2024, and I've worked with a team out of the centers that I work with at the university, but also with a team of graduate and undergraduate students from across the university who come together. And it's really a labor of love, a lot of service and volunteerism, and a lot of sweat, blood and tears to make it.
You make it sound like it's difficult to put together a conference. What are you talking about?
I know. It's just a walk in the park, truly. But I just I'm really grateful for the teams that come together in order to have made this possible for the past 3 years, and my sponsors and my donors as well. But essentially, I work for a research center called the Center of Racial Justice and Youth Engaged Research in the College of Education, and I'm also a fellow for the W.E.B. Du Bois Center. I'm a fellow alum, and I'm also a poet in residence. I'm the first ever poet in residence at the W.E.B. Du Bois Center at UMass. And so with the combined forces of my work with those two entities, I kind of came and kind of birthed this idea of wanting to produce this conference, which in many ways, conferences have inspired me over the years throughout my journey, throughout my academic journey, my personal journey, my artistic journey, by bringing together people, by being this think tank of energies and creative flow and just inspiration and motivation that really helped me to see myself outside in this larger society that we navigate in, just out, beyond the walls of the academy, which is where I spend most of my time as a PhD candidate.
Yep.
But just beyond the walls of the academy and seeing how like the work that I do and the work that we all do are in congregation with each other in these spaces that we must navigate in, that allow for us to connect with community and really do that true work that allows for these things that we're reading and kind of these theoretical things that we're discussing and all that. Like, how do we actually really turn that into practice, right? How do we put that into fruition? So that is ostensibly what I would like to describe the Black AF conference as. It's putting that work into fruition. What does it mean to talk about hip hop ed and hip hop pedagogy? And what does it mean to talk about, Black literacies and, critical race theory and our artistic, like the history of like art and within social movements and social and political movements, and the now of what is happening in our unique current social and political moments, and how do we come together, because we've always done our best work when we come together and when we inspire and build on each other and work in community. And so the Black Artistic Freedom Conference is a space where we can have community in order to kind of express and show the work that we are doing, how the people have a voice, how the culture has a voice, and how we are speaking up about it.
Yeah, I love it. We're often promoting or talking about these kind of conferences, right? That are always got like either hip hop or culture, or just at the heart of them. And, they're at colleges. So some people are like, oh, I don't know, it's going to be stuffy, going to be corny, going to be whatever. And it's like, no, you don't understand. These kind of conferences that put out a different energy.
Right. And I love what Dr. Christopher Emden said in one of the hip hop ed conferences, which is where we met at. One of the hip hop ed conferences, I believe this was the conference from the year before last, but he described the hip hop ed conference as the unconference.
Right.
And so I, just kind of like on the strength of that, right, and kind of adopting that in a way, I would like to think about conference spaces like this, like Black Artistic Freedom Conference, as the unconference. So not stuffy. People are coming however they please, right? Coming as they are, and we're talking about hip hop, and we're bringing in a poetry slam with these professional artists that are coming through from all over. We are showcasing what it means to think about hip hop in educational spaces, which at one point and at many points and in many places is still this very this unorthodox thing. And so kind of talking about how hip hop relates to social movements, how hip hop is a social movement, a social and cultural movement, and how the arts play a vital role in what we think about organizing and activism and how we understand and how we do like movements for liberation, because the people have a voice and the people use their voice through their artistic creations.
For sure. Traditionally, and like you say, currently, and it's a weird time because there's been such confluences of, technological changes and social changes and political changes, that what we've seen in the past has been sort of those traditional ways to use the arts or use music or use culture is so different now. So I think that, having a focus on what that means, how much can we learn from the past, how much can we kind of have to remix and flip it, and do it differently today because of the new challenges we're facing. I didn't mention it. It'll be mentioned in the preamble here, but the theme of the conference this year is specifically this, right? It's called TV Off: Hip Hop as the Revolution for Critical Conversations and Resistance to Conform. Sounds smart, but at the heart of it, it is art, culture for, revolutionary thought, liberation and freedom. Why that specific focus this year?
Woo, to that, I would say, why not? Right?
It's never a bad time.
It's never a bad time. And as we know, history repeats itself, and we are living in a specific moment in time where history is repeating itself over and over and over again. Yeah. And TV Off, we obviously know that is an ode to Kendrick Lamar's single off of his album dropped in November 2024, GNX. And wow, it feels like that wasn't that long ago. But yeah, GNX. And so he has the song TV Off, and that we know, or we should know, is an ode to Gil Scott-Heron's poem, The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. And so, just these the way that this is weaving together is this idea that, like, during the protests, right, that were taking place during the time where Gil Scott-Heron wrote these words, right, it was about this idea of, like, they're trying to distract us with these things while the world is on fire, while we are experiencing social and racial injustices, and we will speak out about this. We will speak back, right? We will use our voices. And this is the part that they will not show on TV, right? This is the part that they will not publicize and highlight, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening. And we will use our voices over and over and over again, even while they try to piss on our heads and tell us that it's raining, right? We will not be shaken or stirred, because when we come together, right, the most powerful thing that we have is our art, is our voice, is our will to be persistent and to speak back when people try to silence us. And so we're living in a time where so in Kendrick Lamar's song, he touches on those themes. He interrogates other themes around and within this idea of being able to kind of, utilize art as this way of speaking up and speaking back, utilizing music, right? And then as we kind of come into this idea of where the theme is for Black AF Conference this year, I'm thinking about this moment that we're in now, amidst so many things happening in society, from the highest office in our country to what is literally happening on the streets of Minneapolis, of Harlem, of, just the different places that we see and feel and experience a lot of pain. And so as Black people and in Black culture, right, the arts have always been a pillar of a focal point of power, a focal point of resistance. And I wanted to be able to channel that through the works of this conference as we think about what it means to be able to write history or to document our history, to document our times during a time where our history is actively being erased.
Right.
And rewritten and being told that this didn't happen, or this is not important to think about, or, oh, get over it, right? Once again, there are folks that are pissing on our head and trying to tell us that it's raining, right? And so our art is a way in which we are able to just really counter storytell and to show that these are real life experiences and real life moments that we deserve to be highlighted. We deserve to have this platform where we can document and continue to document so that our voices and our words and our work can outlive us.
Yeah. Well said. And hip hop being such a powerful force, we're kind of inside baseball, folks listening or watching. Yeah, of course, hip hop. Some of the world and some of folks from hip hop or fans of hip hop or, people from the culture who are a little bit jaded now might be under the impression, and this is fair, for some, just, to some degree, that hip hop doesn't do this stuff anymore. All the stuff you just said. Yeah, but hip hop doesn't do that. And I think it's important, just because they don't see it, it's not, out in the forefront. It's not part of the media landscape. It's not part of the industry, all the things they see. And as, we get older, we're not, sort of, a lot of older heads would say that this doesn't happen as much anymore. But you would disagree with anyone saying that, right?
For sure, I would disagree. I mean, just once again, right, the conference, the conference theme, right, is a nod to Kendrick Lamar, who has had a bang up record, right, in hip hop recent history, right. So,
just that alone,
just going all the way back to one of his hit singles being the premier single of an entire movement, right? Like, We Gonna Be All Right was the soundtrack to the whole entire like Black Lives Matter movement, right? So if we're being honest, right, who says hip hop doesn't do that anymore? Who says hip hop doesn't use hip hop is art at the end of the day, right? And I as a professional spoken word artist and poet, right, I view spoken word poetry as a critical literacy of hip hop by the combination of two pillars of hip hop, which are emceeing and knowledge of self, right? And so I am looking at how the ability to write your story, the ability to use your voice and have it on a platform where you can speak that out loud, right? That is a showcasing of what it means to disturb the peace, what it means to disrupt, what it means to be critical. And so all of these things work together for us. Like, hip hop has the ability to do that. Hip hop has had the ability to do that. Now, are there artists who don't necessarily use their platform to do that? Sure. Right. But are there artists who do? Yes. Right. And so, just because some people are not doing that actively doesn't mean that hip hop doesn't have the ability to save America.
That's right. Right.
So yeah.
Sometimes the choir still needs preaching too. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you gotta let them know.
As the most influential music genre in the world, I think that in and of itself, right, it should tell us something, right? Biggie Smalls said, "We never thought that hip hop would make it this far," right? Because they really didn't. Right. Like, I'm from the actual block in the Bronx that hip hop was founded on, right? So I grew up in the actual neighborhood, and when I hear, I've heard KRS-One speak and do the spiel multiple times, and so, when I hear things like, we just continue to hear that they were just kids in a park. They were trying to, they were going through what was happening at the times in the 70s. They were, young teens and young people that, had something to say. And this was the way that they chose to say it. This was the way that they chose to do it. So, at the end of the day, right, this is the voice of the people. This is the voice of the culture. And we need the voices of the culture in order to understand and know what the culture is thinking, feeling, and believing, in order for us to know that we are not crazy when we are in isolation, feeling what we're feeling when we see what's going on out in the world, right? This is not normal.
For sure.
And hip hop and the arts allow for us a platform to express that it's not normal and we're not going to be quiet.
Yeah, for sure. Like I say, I don't need convincing, but well said. Thank you for that. It actually leads me into now. Okay, you told me a little bit. You segued for me. You're an amazing poet. You've done a lot of work in that vein as well. What's your background in terms of your connection to the arts? How did you kind of come down this artistic path, which has now led you to be doing, in the academic space, but also in the artistic space, combining those two worlds? Where'd all this come from?
Yeah, so I have been writing and performing for 20 years this year. So this is actually my 20th year anniversary of knowing and loving poetry. So, I mean, my background is I do come from the spoken word poetry world. I also come from the educator world. And I'm somebody who, in addition to just obviously by trade, having degrees in education and higher ed, working with students, et cetera, I from a cultural standpoint, I'm a cultural curator, and I've been creating and participating in artistic and cultural spaces for going on 14 years now, right? So this is something that I love and enjoy. So, from when I started, I co-founded when I was in high school, I co-founded a poetry open mic and showcase event. Shout out to the Harlem Bomb Shelter. It is currently and still the longest running open mic and showcase in Harlem. And so that was one of my earlier creations of work when it came to okay, how do we create space?
Right.
How do we create space to support people in coming together and hearing this art form and this beautiful craft and the things that we have to say and how we want to say them and how we want to express them. And then moving on into college, I continue to do those same things through different student organizations and whatnot. In graduate school, my master's is in higher education and student affairs. So just continuing to kind of create space and see how am I working with students, particularly students of marginalized backgrounds, students who are Black and brown, students who really have stories to tell, but they are often overshadowed or overlooked because there's not that many platforms that allow for them to highlight, the stories that they want to tell. So I was doing a lot of work like that. And then just kind of moving into my, worked full time for several years. In different education nonprofits, but still always doing arts related activities, events, creating space. One of the things that was a huge point of inspiration for me was my youth poetry program, Urban Word NYC, the premier youth poetry program in New York City.
I know those folks well. I know those folks. Yep.
We used to have a conference called the Preemptive Education Conference. And so I actually attended that conference 3 times. And preemptive ed was such a huge, so impressionable for me. And just the way that they, merged, hip hop pedagogy and spoken word and just, activism, all of those things, just really spoke very deeply to my core. And I just always knew that if I had the opportunity, I would help to support in facilitating a space like this for people again. Yeah. Right. And so lo and behold, right, years later, as a PhD candidate here at UMass Amherst, I founded and birthed Black AF Conference out of that same vein of wanting to kind of produce experiences that allowed for hip hop, for education, arts, and activism to come together under the same umbrella and bring those types of people into the space that allow for young folks and just everyone, right? Creatives and educators alike to be impressed upon by the work of what it means to use your voice as a tool for social change.
That's dope. Again, talking like we did earlier, that these conferences have a different energy. They hit different than some of the other academic conferences that we go to and, doing academic work, blah, blah, blah. So one of the things I often tell, I say to artists, don't think that because you're not in the academic space that you shouldn't go to one of these spaces. You should be there. Artists should be there to learn how, better interact with folks in the academic space so that the academic space doesn't get too dry. We need them type folks in the mix as well. To like to amplify that, the last two times you did your conference, what were some of the, I don't know, surprising moments? Do you have any surprising moments? Maybe not surprising to you, but something that stood out to let you know that, this is actually the kind of space that you dreamed about making was making a difference. Somebody who was there that did something, someone who told you something after the case, something that happened. What energy comes out of this conference in particular?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So the poetry slam, I would definitely say, is one of the highly anticipated portions of the conference. All of it, I personally, I'm excited about every part
I'm
of
sure.
it.
I get it.
But so all of it, indeed. But the poetry slam has a different particular energy. It's an invitational. It is comprised of some of the best spoken word artists who I know and am in support of from across the country, right? So in particular this year, we have poets who are coming out from Detroit, coming out from Virginia, Jersey, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, right, the poetry slam, I go to poetry slam spaces all the time. I've been slamming for like 14 years or something like that. So I've been slamming for over a decade.
Yeah.
So I'm in poetry slam spaces all the time, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, right? And so I am in spaces where I am often having the ability to see dynamic, world-renowned, champion level poets that are doing their thing and all kind of like going for that spot, right? And the level and the energy is just this top tier. It's intense, right? It's top notch. And but that's not something that's normal. Like people just don't, people are not, unless you're like consuming poetry slam.
Right.
You're not like you're not like you're the typical person at in a university setting that's not their, that's not their audience, right? And so bringing the poetry slam energy that I've kind of like, seen from across the country, bringing that and kind of curating that into this space here at Black AF Conference in this academic conference space. Yeah. It has been one of the most pivotal experiences for the people of the community, the people who are in attendance there that I have ever seen. It's been just so transformative, right? The one of the directors of the W.B. Du Bois Center came up to me after the first year and he said, "This is the best event that we've ever had." We need to do this again, right? And that was confirmation for me in the first year to know that, like, okay, this is something special. Because with the first year, we literally had bare bones. We had nothing. We had a very small grant, a very small grant. Yeah. And I was able to, like, on $1 and a dream, kind of make something happen. And people came out from all over, like attendance of like around 300 people between both days. And so that really confirmed for me that build it and they will come, but also like if it is something special, right, then that is confirmation that like people need this. People need this space. People want this space to exist. People just haven't done it yet, right? And so the second year, I was the teacher of an undergraduate course, and I asked my students to come for extra credit. I was like, hey, if you want an extra credit opportunity, come to this poetry slam, write about it afterwards. And my students came, and these are students, this was a first year course, a general education course. And so students from all over the university, people who probably would not have come to an event like this otherwise, showed up to the slam, and I'm reading their reflections afterwards, right, as I'm kind of grading extra credit. And I'm seeing them say like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. I was so taken aback. I was mind blown. It was shocked. Like they are just, it is out of this world for them to conceive that this level of poetry exists. And also like people have these like perceptions when you say the word poetry, right?
Right, of course.
Of the way, and I blame schooling. I blame I blame kind of primary school in a sense of like when teachers have the opportunity to show poetry in class, they are pulling out Shakespeare and Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson. And I'll speak for myself, right? This is back in the early 2000s when I was in school. That is what was happening during that time. Right. Now, maybe things have been different because technology has advanced, right? But typically, right, once again, poetry and spoken word in particular is a pretty niche aspect of the art form. And so when you are saying poetry, people, if they don't go beyond that, they are kind of thinking out or making associations to that in their mind, and they're not really realizing what spoken word is, what poetry slam is, what the difference between the two are, and how that looks and feels and sounds in a room where the energy is electric and energetic. So bringing that poetry slam event and hearing the comments and reactions to the event for the last 2 years has been truly a definitely very like pivotal to how I am believing this space can be transformative. And also I'm just very excited for this year's event because this year will be no different.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, I mean, I remember when you first encounter it, if you're not, like you say, if you're not from that scene and then you encounter it for the first time, it is life-changing. I mean, simply put, when you see good slam poetry, you are changed. Simple.
And could I also just jump in and just say something? So sure. Shout out to my live. I'm going live right now. That's and one of my mentors, who also is a part of the Hip Hop Ed family, Dr. Angel Jones. Hey. She comments and says, I love the way slams allow non-academic poets to be revered, respected, and honored for the brilliant artists and street scholars they are.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Like, and again, that's what you get from some of these spaces that don't stay walled up in the ivory tower. You know, the hip hop conference, the hip hop ed stuff. It's open to, like I said, like if you're an artist, you don't have to have. And there's people there with no degrees, myself included. You know what I mean? Like, we're welcome in that space because, you know, it doesn't matter if you have the letters after your name. It is your scholarship, your lived experiences that actually give you the brilliance and the genius. And I think that comes out so much more stronger in spaces that, you know, involve hip hop and welcome, you know, that mentality. You'd agree?
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure. So, okay, I'm going to not keep you too much longer because I know you have a lot of orchestrating to do for this. Just so one time again, for the folks who need a little bit more, who would need more, impetus to come to this event, but how's it shaping up? What's it going to look like? It's a one-day event this year. You do have this event that you just hyped up, which, you know, I would want to come to. If I wasn't even coming, I'd be coming. But like, what else you got? You do have some people speaking and presenting. I'm one of them, blah, 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 but whatever, forget me. What else are we looking at? Presentations of some more artistic stuff. Tell me what the rundown is, just generally speaking. You don't have to make people go to the website, find it all the details, but, you know, give them a tease.
Oh, for sure. Listen. Thank you so much. Yeah. So this year, the Black Artistic Freedom Conference 2026 will consist of a lineup of dynamic speakers, presenters, performers, and all the things, right? And so, your very own Many Faces will be one of the presenters of the conference. And let me say this, right? The committee, shout out to my committee, my co-chair, Arnold Lane, and my committee comprised of undergraduate and graduate students from across the university. They have, I really want to just give them their flowers. They have worked tireless with me day in and day out to really bring this event to life. I could not have asked for a better and more committed committee to do this with, right? And we literally like handpicked, over the course of several weeks, really kind of took our time and read through the submissions and really, selected people that we believed were going to really speak to this year's theme. And so, and so on and so forth, right? There were dynamic people across the board that applied, but we could only accept but so many folks. And so I want to just say that, like, all of the presenters that are pulling up to Black AF Conference this year, right? We have, we really truly believe that they have something to share and offer of great substance for the community to benefit from. So I'll just say that. So we have these dynamic speakers and artists that are presenting, akin to the hip hop family, hip hop ed family. We have Dr. Christopher Emden and Timothy Jones, who are also going to be presenting as well. We actually have a youth-led session where the youth of Palante, which are kind of affiliated with the Holyoke Ethnic Studies program out here in Western Massachusetts, they're leading something dynamic. There's just so many artists that are just coming from across the country, you know, who are within like the field of theater, who are within the field of poetry, spoken word, who are even talking about things like anime. There's just dance, like, you know, maternal health. So there's just so many different aspects of like how we are understanding and experiencing Black scholarship and Black artistry that are taking place through the presentations. And so you will truly, your mind and your soul will truly be fed. So there's that. But in addition to that, we have a phenomenal guest keynote speaker, none other than the hip hop poet himself, the really 3-time Grammy Award winning spoken word artist, Jay Ivy will be our keynote speaker. So I personally, a portion of my research was specifically inspired by Jay Ivy. Jay Ivy is just great peoples all around. Very, very, very excited to host him and have him share his story with us. And then we have the poetry slam, right? We have the poetry slam that is the finale, and we have poets that are coming from all across the country, and they slamming for the bag. Okay, we got $3,000 on the line. I believe I'm gonna go back and do that math, but we got several $1,000s on the line for the poets to pull up, and somebody's gonna snatch it. So it's going to be an exquisite, esteemed experience that so many people will be able to relate to and see themselves in and feel a vibe in different ways. And I'll say this, there have been a lot of, and this is unannounced information. So this is a world premiere. Okay. It was coming in the announcement soon, but basically, there is a lot of artists that have been hitting me up and saying like, "Hey, can I get on the mic? Hey, can I perform?" And obviously, like all the spots and everything for like specific speaking experiences like that's been booked solid for a period of time, but because of that like type of response and us knowing that this is the conference where we all need to have an opportunity to let our voice be heard, I even added an extra event. So I added the after hour Cipher that will take place right after the poetry slam. And so in the same space that we will already be in for the poetry slam, there will be an after hour Cipher, and poets, artists, all the things, all the creatives that are in the space have the opportunity to hop on the mic and just share something and just vibe. And I think that will kind of just be like the perfect ending to the day. And so that's pretty much what you can expect with Black AF Conference. But if you want more information, if you just go to this link, right, it's really easy to remember. So I'll just say this, and then from there you can kind of click on the other links that'll bring you to the information for the landing page. But the RSVP link for Black AF Conference is bit.ly, so bit.ly/Black AF 2026 RSVP. Okay, so I'll just say that again, bit.ly/Black, I hope you know how to spell Black, AF 2026 RSVP. So that is where you can find all the information, and that's where you can register too. Registration does close on February 8th though, and when it closes, it'll close. And so I'm going to need you to get
That's how you post that. You're like, no, we're not going to close it and then open it up again.
It's close.
You need to count. I get it. You need to count.
So get up in there. We don't want you to miss out because there are limited slots. We will have food, refreshments, drinks, snacks, all that jazz for you. There's breakfast, there is lunch, there's a reception happening, and some reception food, and some cash bar, and all of that going on. So there's gonna be plenty of opportunities to engage and be filled with your mind, your soul, and your body in order to experience Black AF Conference 2026 and all of its beautifulness.
If it has one iota of the vibes that you are putting out, we already know. We know what this is going to be. So I'm very encouraged. And again, yes, thank you to the committee. I'm very humbled and again honored and privileged to be selected to take a part in it. And I'm having my work cut out because y'all some powerhouses, man. And I'm just gonna do my level best to rock with y'all and give this event the respect it deserves. Everyone, turn your TV off on February 21st and come down to UMass Amherst and check out this conference. Sign up now. I'll have put the thing on the screen through the magic of editing later, so people will have it. It'll be clickable down below wherever you see this. Make sure you sign up and come through. And if you're not in the area or can't be in the area, please send it to people. Please send it out to your artist friends, your educator friends, your healthcare friends, your elected officials, your church members, your parents, your students, your teacher. Everybody needs to be at these things. It's not just when you say poetry, there's poetry, and then there's poetry. Right? There's conferences, and there are conferences. And so you need to be, especially if you feel compelled and you feel energized by the fact that hip hop is still an art form that can inspire and, save America, or at least make some parts of this place a little bit better for some people. These are the folks that are doing that work. I don't listen to me. Pull up. And you'll see it for yourself. Just trust me when I tell you it'll be worth your time. So, Lyrical Faith, my friend, my old long-time friend now. Thank you for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to get off your closing statements, as it were, to let people know how to follow you, how to keep up with you, see your poetry? Because believe me when I tell you, if you don't know, you're gonna find out. You really should find out how to follow you, where they could look you up specifically. All the end of interview stuff.
All the things. Listen. If you are not following me already, definitely follow me. I'm at Lyrical Faith Poetry on all platforms, but specifically Instagram. So Lyrical Faith Poetry, that's LYRICALFAITHPOETRY. But also, since we're talking about Black AF Conference, please follow the Black AF Conference page, right? So that will be Black AF Conference, at Black AF Conference. And something that you can do, listen, if you are out there and you're listening to this and you're like, wow, this sounds like a dope event, can't make it because I got so much going on that day. It's too far. I got other things happening. Okay, cool. You can donate to the event in order to support it, right? It's free technically, but we just ask for just a suggested donation in support, because it is a very expensive event to put on, and we are working with limited resources. We are very grassroots here at Black AF Conference, okay? And so if you would like to donate, there is a link for that. You can find that link on the Black AF Conference bio on the Instagram page, but it's very easy. I'll say it for you. It's bit.ly/Black AF donates. Okay.
It'll be right
Black
here.
AF donates. So that's simple enough. And then for whatever reason, if you're like, hey, I really want to show up, but I think I want to do more. Like I want to kind of see if there's a way that I can get involved. Woo! You can volunteer, okay? We got a volunteer link up. We need more volunteers. And the link for that is very simple. It's also bit.ly/Black AF volunteer. We made everything simple. So easy. Nice, okay. So with that being said,
you're good with words. I'm just saying, maybe you should, do something with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like maybe I should. I should try to bring them to stages every once in a while.
Just an idea. I'm just saying. I won't. Just an idea. Just putting it out there.
Thank you. I'm gonna hold that.
Glad I can help.
So yeah, those are all the things, all the places that you can follow, support. You can sow a seed, and in the words of my cousin Christopher Wallace, if you don't know, now you know.
There you go. That's what's up. All right. I'm, like I said, very excited to finally, sit down with you and talk to you. Thank you so much for such a great breakdown of not only the conference and the work that you do, but, the way you've come to see the world through this work. And I think that viewpoint is inspiring and is something that people need to know exists. So again, for all those reasons and more, I do encourage people to follow you and keep up with your work. We're ready for, the next stage of your academic and artistic careers, which are growing simultaneously. And so I'll be personally keeping up with you. And if you have anything to share with the people, do any events or anything that, folks that listen to me or in my newsletter, you let me know and I'll spread the word.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I will. And then same with you as well. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And I'm just grateful that you had me be a part of your platform, be able to speak to your audience. And I am looking forward to supporting you in all that you're doing, because hip hop truly can save America. So
Amen.
thank you.
Amen to that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
Many faces. You sick for this one.